Hello Crafters, today I have another one stamp 5 cards, this time using the Flower Garden stamp set by Tim Holtz. So for my first card I'm just going to stamp down one of the flowers onto some watercolor paper, and I'm going to be embossing this, and I'm using some stupendous embossing ink. So I'm just going to stamp that down. And I'm going to emboss it with some clear embossing powder by English Stamp. I just have to get my misty out of the way, sorry. And I'm just going to stamp that. I'm going to emboss that with clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set it. And then I cut out a mask, and I stamped down another one behind it, so I masked them. So I'm sorry I didn't show that. I deleted the footage by accident, sorry. And now I'm just putting down the masks again, and I'm just going to stamp down on the stems included in the set, which I think is very good because I cannot draw stems onto flowers. And I'm just using the same stupendous embossing ink, and I'm just going to use the same embossing powder. And yeah, now I'm going to colour it in with Distress ink. For the next card, I'm using this Persimmon 6x6 Basic Grey Collection, and I'm using this dark, almost black cardstock, and I'm just going to be stamping down one of the flowers using Cotton White ink, Stays On ink by, I don't know, Tsukiniko I think, and yeah, I don't have any white pigment ink, and this is the closest thing I have, so that's why I'm using it, and I'm just stamping that down. And I did 2 of these, and I actually used the second one. The first one didn't turn out right. I'm not going to show it. I didn't like the effect it gave. I used pearlized watercolor, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, so I just had to stamp this down 2 or 3 times just to make sure it was perfect, good impression. And the Stays On ink did stain my stamp, but it didn't affect the quality of my stamp. So that's just a little note for you if you're going to be using it. And yes, so that's the thing I wasn't happy with. And I'm just using this gold pen, and this is my second flower. I'm just going to be shading in, and when you see the pictures at the end of the video, you'll see it much closer up because I'm just shading in with the gold pen in the places where it'd normally be shaded. So now I'm just going to be using, for my next card, sorry, I'm just going to be using the same stamp, and I'm going to be using just a really light pink ink because I kind of wanted to try out the no line colouring effect. It didn't really work out, but I really do like the effect. And the really dark part there is actually a part I colored with alcohol markers, but I wasn't happy with it, so I'm using Ducraft's Artiste watercolor markers, and those turned out beautifully. And I'm just using a very soft pink, I think the softest in the set I had, 32 set, and yeah. And then for my next card, I'm just going to be stamping 3 of these flowers in a row, and I'm going to be using copper embossing powder by Ducraft this time. Copper, I love it so much. I think it's my favourite embossing powder colour. So anyway, that's all done, and I drew in the stems myself and embossed them, and I'm just going to be colouring those in now. For the next card, I'm just going to be using this dandelion kind of stamp, and I'm just going to be using a grey ink from Memento, and I'm just going to be stamping that down. And I think I stamped 2 or 3 flowers, and I'm just going to use my mask, and there wasn't any stick on it, so I just used my magnet. That's a little misty hack. And so I'm just going to be stamping that down again. I think I needed 2 actually. So I'm using the same ink again, the same light grey ink. And I love grey inks as well. I think it really creates a different effect than black. And I'm just going to be colouring in now, so I'll turn on some music. Now that I have all my coloured and cut panels, here you can see them all, I'm just going to be taking some coloured vellum. It's pretty thin, and I'm just going to be stamping down a happy birthday Do Craft sentiment, and it's from this men's stamp set. So I'm going to be using pink, green and yellow, and it's a really flat set, so it was great for wrapping around the panels very well. So yeah, and so now I'm just using this copper, and I'm going to be using the same copper embossing powder to emboss this little stamp from the Creative Stamping, I think it's issue 137 stamp set. Yeah, and anyway, that's that. I'm using the same copper embossing powder, as I said before. It's one of my favorites. And now I'm just going to be using this Stitch Borders set from Lawn Fawn. I'm just going to be using that onto my card panel, and so I create a little edge because I don't have any stitched rectangle or stitch any shape and dies, and that's another little hack. And I'm just going to put that through my Big Shot, and there you can see I repeated that all around, and I'm just going to be wrapping around my little vellum piece, and I'm going to be sticking that down with some tape and some glossy accents, and I think I did this on all of them. And yeah, so anyway, that's that. I'm just using some sticky tape at the back to really make sure it's down. So now I'm just going to be using the Scripty Thanks die by Lawn Fawn. I'm using the hidden sentiment technique. So the idea is you cut it out of the card base and of the foam, and then you layer it on top and stick everything back down together. You'll see at the end where I show you everything and at the pictures how it turned out. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it turned out great, and it was just the right card for it. So yeah, now I'm using this Paper Mania fabric paper. It's really flowery, I love it, and I'm just going to be stamping that down. And I didn't use an entire square of it, I just saved some and cut out a frame, and that's another great hack. And this time I'm using the doily stencil by Tim Holtz and some pink distress ink, and I'm just going to be layering that onto my card base. And it didn't go all the way to the edges, but I still think it turned out very well. So anyway, you can see all of the cards now. I'm going to be showing them soon, and you can see this is the first one with. I really love this one. It's probably my favorite, just because all of the layers really did turn out very well. And I especially love the sentiment strip. It's kind of the first time I've ever done it, and I think it turned out really well. I really like the second one as well. The copper really went well with the yellow, I thought. And I used this floral fauna card base for the card base, and I just cut it down a bit. I also love this one. I think I'm very happy with my colouring, and I think the sentiment strip really just set it off. The next one is where you can see the gold technique. I was really proud of myself. I was going to use white at first, but then my white just wasn't working. It's always clogged, it's so annoying. So I just used gold, which turned out beautifully, in my opinion. And I just layered that onto my pink card base. And that's my last card. And I used the it's like a Versa marker for the stems. So anyway, that's all my cards for today. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It means so much to me. And please comment down below, tell me what I should do next, any thoughts, any ideas. And please also subscribe, that means the world to me. And anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching, and bye.